How's it going, guys? My name is Zach with the Movie Castle, and today we're going to be taking a look at Final Destination Bloodlines. This just came out May 16th, 2025, and is part 6 in the Final Destination franchise. It was directed by Zach Lipovsky and Adam B. Stein, and the movie stars Kaitlyn Santa Juana, Teo Briones, Richard Harmon, and features an appearance from Tony Todd. Really great to get to see him one more time. That's super cool. But I guess I should say, it's been quite a while for the Final Destination movies. Part 5, the last one, came out in 2011, so it's been like 14 years? That's crazy to think about. But I really am pleased to say that the people who made this movie knew what the franchise was about and knew what they were doing. That sense of paranoia, the big, over-the-top, elaborate deaths, and also knowing when to have fun with it, knowing when to be a little cheesy. And it's a really fun movie, just like the other entries in the franchise were. It honestly feels like no time at all has passed, and if this had came out with the other 5, it would have fit right in, and that is a huge compliment. Now, I do want to say that some of the trailers did advertise that this would be like the final chapter or the big explanation or something like that. I do want to say that that's not really what this movie's doing. There are some Easter eggs to past entries, and there is one thing that it does explain, but for the most part, it's its own standalone story, and that's what it tries to focus on, so don't go in expecting the big end piece for the Final Destination movies. Go in expecting another Final Destination sequel, but a really fun one, and from that perspective, I can definitely recommend this movie. But all that being said, what's the movie about? No major spoilers, but the setup for this movie is you have a girl that's starting to get dreams of her grandma all the way back in time, and she gets killed in this super elaborate skyscraper collapse scene. It's a really cool prolonged sequence and is really a highlight of the movie. But she wakes up from that dream and starts to wonder why she's dreaming about her grandma. She's kind of estranged from the family, no one really wants to talk about her, and she has to kind of track her down. When she does, she finds her grandma in this cabin, isolated from the rest of the world, and paranoid about death. You see, that dream the main character's been getting is a repeat of a vision that she got all the way back in time, and by using that vision, she was able to prevent the disaster and save literally hundreds of lives. Well, because she literally saved hundreds, it's taken death quite a while to work its way through all those people and get back to her. Not only their lives, but the children they weren't supposed to have. And now that death is finally knocking on her door, it's also knocking on the door to her family. And we're talking 2 generations here. Quite literally, that's where we get the name of the movie, Bloodlines. So now it's up to her, and she's kind of inherited her grandma's intuition. She has to figure out how to stop death and try to save as many members of her family as she can. And I guess with any Final Destination movie, the first thing you probably want to talk about is the deaths. And yeah, they're really cool in this movie. I have to say, with the first Final Destination movies, they were more about like paranoia and subtle clues and like signs and stuff. And as the series went on, it became funnier and got bigger and over the top. And I think this movie has a good sense of balancing the two. There are lots of subtle little clues and hints that something might be dangerous without telling you exactly what that danger is. And like when you look at the opening skyscraper scene, it's big, it's prolonged, it has several little different and interesting moments, but also lots of clues leading up to it, and there's things as subtle as like the path of this penny going all the way up to a woman getting squished with a grand piano. So yeah, I think we have that sense of scale. The trailers also showed off a bit of the barbecue sequence, and I won't spoil that, but there are lots of little moving elements, like the trampolines getting worn out, there's a spiky rake where it shouldn't be, and a piece of broken glass mixed in with the ice. And will someone swallow that, or will it play out in a different way? And it really does a good job about having lots of big, elaborate, moving pieces. And I also want to say, I went back and watched the trailer recently. A few really good misdirects in the trailer. I really like that they didn't want to spoil anything, so that's really cool. But beyond the deaths, one thing I really like about this movie is the characters. And I feel like with so many movies doing these legacy sequels, a lot of times it's the modern characters that really bug me. They're way too into being like hip and modern and on social media and telling like pop culture jokes. There's something about modern characters that usually seems disingenuous, but here they all seem pretty real. They have the idea that they're a family, they love each other, they're trying to make it work, but because of the grandma's paranoia, there definitely has been stress on this family, and they all seem really real and really naturalistic and really easy to get behind. One of them is this guy with a bunch of piercings who's, you know, kind of funny, but he's also kind of rebellious, and when he's thrust into this world, he'll reject it at first, but when he sees that there's a mission to do and that it's real, he's not afraid to go in and say, okay, let's figure this out. And I mean, plop that guy into one of the other 5 movies, he would have felt like he belonged and that he would have fit. I love that these aren't bad modern characters. Grandma's super fun, albeit she is a little bit of a clone of the Blumhouse Laurie Strode, but whatever. I love that she literally will talk to death because she'll see it trying to do something and be like, I'm gonna catch you, you can't trick me that easy. And her house is a really cool, big set, really cool design here, and will play into a few fun sequences. But of course, when we talk about characters, the big one that we have to say is Tony Todd. He's only in this movie for one scene, but boy, did they know how to use him. As you guys probably know, he would pass away before this movie even came out, and they were super lucky to be able to film his scene, but I kind of feel like they probably knew he was going to pass away, and they did a good job giving this character one final scene in a Final Destination movie, kind of wrapping things up for him. And honestly, the final speech that he delivers in this movie really does get to you. It was so great to see Tony Todd in this movie. I'm glad that if they did a legacy sequel to one of his films, they didn't waste him like the new Candyman did. This was an absolutely brilliant performance by him. I really love seeing him. Great that he got one more go at this franchise. Really cool. So yeah, definitely worth checking out. It is kind of a cheesy Final Destination movie, but that being said, it knows what it is, it plays it up, but still, with the characters, it does have weight, and with the premonitions and with all the little details, you can tell that they were taking it seriously. So yeah, definitely recommend this one. Definitely go check it out. It was a really solid Final Destination movie. But anyway, to everyone who's watched so far, thank you for watching. To everyone who's liked and subscribed, thank you. You really are helping the channel out. I'll leave a relevant playlist on the bottom. This should be my 2025 movies playlist. If you guys like this, feel free to check out my reviews for other 2025 movies. Anyway, have a good day. I'll see you guys again very soon. Playlist here. Have a good day now.